Discipline about how you take action on the things that you desire to accomplish. Does it make you better? Absolutely. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the JK Experience. James A.
Hey, what's going on, buddy?
Man, another day, another dime. I don't want to say dollar. Another dime, man. Gosh. It's good to have you back in the studio, dude. I know you've been back a little bit, but it's just always good. I really enjoy the banter. I really enjoy the fact that I've got somebody to talk with and talk to. So it's always fun having you in here, buddy.
It's always good to be here. It really is. I enjoy these sessions.
Yeah, good, man. Well, how you doing, buddy?
If I'm being totally honest, I'm a little bit overwhelmed.
Okay.
Right? And I don't mean to complain. I don't want to just unload on you. But sometimes, and tell me if you've ever done this, I've got a lot going on personally, a lot going on professionally. We've got, Mandy and I are in the middle, we're living in a remodel, right? You've probably done that at some point in your life.
Right, yeah.
We're living in a remodel. I go home and I look at these daunting tasks I have, and I just try to chip away at them a little bit. But then, I come to work and we've got so many things going on in the business, and I'm trying to make headway there. We're making big changes, and sometimes I feel like I'm just spinning my wheels. Like you try to keep the plates spinning, but sometimes it feels like that's all you're doing. So a little bit overwhelmed right now.
Do you want to talk about it? You want to have a therapy session on the radio right now?
I want you to solve my problems, Josh.
Yes, there we go. Right. We're not
I'm like
saviors.
Everybody else in your sphere. I want you to solve my problems right now.
We're not saviors, we're leaders, brother. Not saviors or leaders. It's funny. I mean, have you talked to my wife lately? Is this kind of like maybe we're having an intervention with myself here?
No, she didn't. I haven't spoken with Kate since before Christmas. So
we haven't seen her. Yeah, exactly. Let's tackle it, dude. I think that's such a great. I think that is a great conversation that I think a lot of us go through, especially if you're a leader. How many times do you feel like you're stuck? How many times do you feel like you're not making momentum in your life, right? And we can't say no. That is one of the problems that we as leaders have, is we can't say no because we know, first of all, we have this complex that we do it better than anybody else, right? But also, we also have this spirit that we want to serve other people too. We're selflessly leading other people. And we do that by putting ourselves in the action of it, right?
Yeah.
And so you find yourself with all of these commitments, because you can't say no, first of all, but also because you want to be involved in it. You feel like you have purpose and it gives you a little bit more meaning in your life when you take on these complexities, and all these other little projects. And is that kind of right?
That's exactly what I'm talking about. We want to help. We want to be helpful. We want to problem solve, but it seems like we end up taking on way more responsibilities than we have time for.
Right.
And like I said, it can be really, really draining because you feel like you're not making progress in any of them.
Yeah. I'm smiling only because, dude, I deal with that a lot. There's no doubt about it. When you're trying to be the best at everything, so I'm trying to be the best dad, when you're trying to be the best leader in business, when you're trying to be the best husband, all of those things, when you're trying to be the best man, it means that every aspect of your life, you're trying to do exceptional, right?
Yeah.
Well, what do you do in every aspect of your life being exceptional? Well, to be a great dad, depending on the age of your kids, you're coaching everything, right? Sure. Or you're involved in their life, before school, after school, during school stuff, right? And so we find ourselves in that really complex and really challenging environment that we've created ourselves. And so I'm really glad we are talking about this because it's something that I do, that I'm challenged with on a regular basis, that I have to tackle. And then I have to remind myself that, first of all, I can't be everything to everyone. Yeah. So I kind of have to learn to prioritize that. But I would say one of the biggest things that I've learned as a person that considers themselves a leader is that if I get to a point in my journey that I feel overwhelmed, or that I'm not creating any momentum, let's just say I feel stuck, right? I have to sit back for a minute and I'll go, okay, what are all the projects? I just got to get them all out there. Like, what are all the projects that I'm working on? So for you, you've got home model repair, right? And then you've got, what else going on? What are the other plates? Let's just kind of go by those. You have home model repair. What else?
Hey, on the home front, we got that going now. We just chalked one off the list. Mandy has been studying really hard for one of her registries, and she passed that with flying colors today. So big kudos to her. But that was a big stressor for us. So that one's off the list now, and thank God. And then moving on to the professional front, right?
Yeah.
We've got in our real estate, we've got all these agents doing all this business. We're heading into the busy time of year right now. We're making some internal changes to where, I've stepped up and I'm doing more with the Tuesday morning meetings, that kind of stuff. So there's all this, all this other stuff going on.
Right.
And I feel like I'm just barely keeping my head above water.
Right. Okay. So let's just take those for example, right? Well, first of all, you have to look at let's not try to move boulders right now, right? The boulders are the big things. The boulders are the big, like those things that they're going to take 6 months or they're going to take a year, or like, hey, listen, I got to write that book. And you're like, oh my God, well, that's awesome. Like, where are you at? And you're like, chapter 1. Okay, well, cool. How much of chapter 1 have you got? And you're like, I'm on page 1.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, you've got page 1 written. You're like, no, I haven't even, I got to start page 1. And you're like, okay, well, that can be very daunting, right? That can be like, it's overwhelming because if you just keep thinking about, well, I got to write 12 chapters. I haven't even started on chapter 1 on the first page. Like, how am I going to get that done, right? Mm-hmm. And so you've got to look at it as pebbles, right? So instead of the big boulder, so let's take, for instance, like your remodel. I'm sure there's 1,000 things or 30,000 things that you guys are trying to remodel.
You bet.
You got to look at like, what's the little pebble I can finish? Like, we got to create some momentum by finishing some of those small projects. I'll give you a great case in point is because I literally was going through this myself here recently where I'm like, I feel like I've got 25 different plates spinning, just like as you use as an example. And I'm like, okay, every day for the last 2 weeks, I feel like I'm just kind of touching everything a little bit, but I'm not really getting anything done. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm not creating any momentum because I can't do their little check mark.
Yeah.
And in my office, I love the check boxes. I love to check them off. I love to complete them. I love to see that I've actually done something. Mm-hmm. And I stare at my whiteboard every single day going, I haven't done anything. Yeah. Even though I know that I've been overwhelmed or that I've been going from meeting to meeting and conversation to conversation, and I've been solving this problem and that problem, and I'm having, this ordeal and that's, but I can't look at any of my stuff on my board that were important and realize that I checked any of those off because none of them had been checked off. Mm-hmm. And so I literally the other day said, okay, what are the projects that I can get done today? What are the things I need to check off that board today? And I'm just going to focus on that. And so I started with the simplest one, right? With the easiest one that I could do is I need to have that conversation with that person and schedule, this podcast. Mm-hmm. Did it, and I got to check it off.
Great.
And I'm like, okay, awesome. There's a win.
Yeah.
Right. Literally it was as simple as that. And so I started to look at the other projects in my life that I said, okay, well, what's the next thing I could do? And then what's the next thing I do? And by the end of the day, I had actually finished 5 of those projects. And it wasn't because I had all of a sudden I did a 14-hour day. It's because I was able to focus on the little things and say, okay, if I can just do these little things, right? These 10-minute conversations, or if I could write this letter, mm-hmm. or if I could respond to this email, I could get that done. Right. And it really was. It was making phone calls, and it was just accomplishing smaller tasks. And it seemed real trivial. And I'll give you an example of this. One of them was for the last month and a half, I've had these T-shirts sitting on my chair that have needed to get printed for special orders because these gentlemen from the Kingsman event mm-hmm. wanted them done. And they've been sitting on my chair. And I just haven't made time to have the conversation with the person that I can know that is going to print the shirts for me. And I'm like, gosh dang it, I got to do that. Okay, I'll do it tomorrow. Okay, The day comes on. Oh, gosh dang it, I got to do it tomorrow, right? And it was as simple as, hey, John, I got these shirts. I'm going to put them at front desk. If you could come by, pick those up. I've already got the instructions in there for you. If you don't mind, that'd be great. He's like, yep, be there tomorrow. And I'm like, a win. I got it done. Yeah. But now it's not something that I'm being consumed with every single day, because they stop the momentum when you have all these loose ends out there, especially in small projects, right? Mm-hmm. Small projects they'll start to stack up on each other, and then you get overwhelmed going, man, I got 25 projects, and you're like, okay, well, let's just name a few off. And you end up finding out of the 25 projects that you have to get done, 10 of them are actually all could be done probably within a really couple short hours of just extreme focus. You could get them done.
Oh man, that rings so true, because I literally have a stack of handwritten notes on my desk that I keep telling myself, I'm going to go deliver those tomorrow. I'm going to go hand those out tomorrow. Yeah. I'm going to deliver. And I have it. They've been there for a week, and I feel like a jackwagon because they're still sitting there. So that's a little task that I could do that I could check something off the list, feel like I'm getting some momentum?
Yeah, there's a program, there's actually a sheet that I used to use a lot, and now I've kind of trained myself so I don't have to use the sheet as much anymore. But if you're really just starting into this, I mean, really it's just like, hey, listen, what are the 3 things I need to get done today? Right. And so you just literally write them down. Like, what are the 3 things you're going to get done today? Okay, what are the 3 conversations I need to have today? Right. Okay. And then, so you're really starting to prioritize, like, if I had to get 3 things done today, what are the 3 things that I'm going to need to do? And then what, of course, my conversations. And then you also go, so you go a little bit deeper and say, okay, like, if there's only one thing that I needed to get done that I could get done today, what's my number one thing? Well, then you prioritize that one thing out of the 3, right? Then you also go, well, if there's something I can do for myself today, what is it? And for me, it was always like, hey, listen, I got to go work out. I got to have that gym time because that's where I re-energize. That's when I, get away from the, all of the stuff that's going on at work and conversations that I have. I can actually let myself just kind of relax and enjoy that moment. So it was always like, that was always my happy time, right? I was like, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym. So what is it for you? So it's like, hey, listen, if there's one thing that you could do that's going to bring you joy today, what is it that you need to do today, right? So it could be, hey, I'm going to go have lunch with Mandy. That's going to give me joy today. Okay, awesome. You get to put that in that sheet, and that's something that you're going to be intentional with, right? And then another thing was like, if the day was over and you didn't get one thing done, what would it be? And it's like, and then so you got to think like, okay, man, if the day got over, it's already 5:00 and I'm going to regret not getting this done, what is it? And it's probably not going to be one of those 3 things. It's going to be something else. Yeah. So you've just, so you've been able to add a little piece to it. So it could be like, God, if I have to tell myself one more day that I got to get those stinking notes done or notes sent out, like I'm going to put it right there. Right. Yeah. So you add that to the list. And so you're able to review it. And now you've written it down. Now you've actually got a visual on it. And so you can look back to it. So because we all have those moments, they may not be very long moments. I mean, you might have 5 minutes where you're like, okay, I can either check my email, I can check Facebook, right? I can go to the bathroom, or I can look at my list, right? I mean, so it's always good to be like, all right, I'm just going to look at my list on my way to the bathroom. Yeah. Right. And then we can say, okay, well, I got to do this now. So I think it's just so important. We try to tackle the boulder, and we should be really looking at the pebbles.
Sure. So how do you help me with this? How do you keep from just postponing the boulder, right? I mean, we're dealing with the pebbles on a daily basis, but what are you doing? Are you putting a deadline on the boulder?
Well, yeah, the boulder always, that's a big goal, right? Yeah. I mean, so let's give an example. So let's say that the boulder is the book. Let's just say, sure, right? And that has been a boulder in my life, right? It's just getting the book done, and it's been a long, drawn out process. I mean, it has been a lot more miserable than I thought it would be, and it's really like drained the life out of me. You've known this because I've kind of talked about some of my frustrations through this. But what I had to do is I literally had to put deadlines on there, right? I had to put a date for when the first chapter was going to be done. I had to put a date when the next chapter was done, and da-da-da-da. So I went along that line. Well, then we went into review, and then I had to redo a lot of the book because it changed, and long story short. Then I had to, once again, put more deadlines in there. And sometimes those deadlines are deadlines that I put in the calendar, but sometimes those deadlines are like, I'm going to make an appointment with the publisher on this date, and I better have these chapters done. Or I better have, and so what I did, and it's funny, we were talking about this because I was making some momentum on the revision of the book. But I still wasn't getting it done. And, I'd tackle a little bit here and there at night, and, I try to find the energy to do it because I'm not doing any of it during work. It's always, it's after my second job, right? Yeah. And so I finally said, you know what? Enough of this, man. I know that when I'm under pressure and I'm under the gun, I will make time to do this. So I said, all right, I'm making the appointment. It's going to be next Monday, and it's going to be completed because I have to submit the book by that time. And I tell you what, I got it done. And you have to put yourself on a deadline. You have to, but you also have to break it down. Yeah. Right. You have to break it down into manageable pieces. You have to break it down so that it's like little pebbles. Yep. There's nothing wrong with doing that and saying, hey, listen, here's my big project. What's the first thing I can do? Okay. What's the second thing I can do? What's the third thing I can do to create momentum? Right. If you go to my board in there right now, one of the things that I even put down there was like, okay, I want to do a podcast with this one gentleman. Right. Okay. What's the first thing I need to do? I need to make the phone call.
Yeah, reach out to him.
Right? Sure. Then the second thing I need to do is I need to schedule that call. And then the third thing I'm going to do is I'm going to build the questions. And the fourth thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do even more research around them, right?
Good.
So I've kind of got my checklist, because if I just said, hey, I'm going to do an interview with this person, and I didn't break down my steps, I would probably miss one first and foremost. But secondly, I wouldn't be prepared for the interview that I'm obviously tremendously excited about having.
Good. No, that's great. And that kind of puts it into perspective, right? I mean, you've got this boulder, you have an opportunity every single day to chip away at something with that boulder, right? I mean, like your book, every night after the kids were in bed, after you spent your mom and dad time together, you would take little bites out of that big boulder.
Right.
And I think that's a great thing, because sometimes we go, no, I just need to sit down and write 4 chapters.
Right.
And I don't think that's feasible.
Yeah, and I think that also people have to realize too is like when you still have another project, because what'll happen is people will say, "But I don't have the time, man."
Yeah.
Like when do I get to work on this? And I'm like, you will make time for the things that are important in your life. And for me, my time, because this was such an important thing, my time couldn't come during work because I had priorities. We have a busy schedule. There's a number of things that are going on throughout the day, and I couldn't make any time. So I just couldn't. That's fine. Well, then I have my life with my family. Well, I wasn't going to do it because I was coaching. I wasn't going to do it because we had dinner. I wasn't going to do it because we had family time. I wasn't going to do it because we had husband and wife time, right?
Yeah.
So my time was when everybody else was sleeping. My time was when I had already poured into all of those other areas of my life and said, okay, I can either sleep or I can take that time right now because it's important. Well, I tell you right now, for this moment in my life, I can go with a little bit less sleep.
Sure.
And I think people need to understand, if it's important enough for you, you will make time. If it's not, you won't make the time.
For sure. So give me a tip here. The kind of the theme here is, do you ever feel stuck?
Right.
Right. Let's say you feel stuck, like you're paralyzed to all this stuff going on around you. Give me some self-talk to, once you've identified it, how to get out of that. Do you have some tips?
Yeah, I mean, what I do is, like, let's just say we were on a coaching call right now, and you and I are having this conversation about you being stuck. I'd say, okay, all right, you're stuck. Tell me what's the area in your life that you feel the most stuck.
So I think professionally.
Okay, professionally. All right. What are the 5 things right now that you feel like if you accomplished or you started to tackle would give you momentum that would help you feel like you're getting unstuck? Well, give me 5 things.
I would have to say recruiting would be number 1. Okay. I would have to say training would be another one. I would have to say, of course, retention, right? Because that's important. And then I'm going to look at things like profitability, right? I want to make sure we're profitable. And then I'm just going to say overall culture building. Those are things that I want to see grow, but I feel like they're all such big tasks that I go, oh no, they're paralyzing.
Yeah, right.
So those are my 5 things.
Okay, so then I would ask you to break each one of those down. So we'd actually get a piece of paper out and say, okay, well, what does recruiting look like for you? Okay, well, what does retention look like for you? Okay, and then we break them down even to more things. Okay, so if I was going to ask you, and when you say culture and you say like, hey, listen, I want to make momentum moving forward with culture, like give me an example of like, what would happen that you'd say, man, you know what? I think our culture just grew today, right? Yeah. So I'd ask from some very specific things that you could do or that you would be able to feel, right? That would give you that sense of accomplishment in those areas, right? But I think once again, just like even what you were doing, you were thinking so big, going, well, I feel stuck because I got to work on recruiting. Okay, well that's a boulder.
It is,
right? I mean, retention is a boulder. Profitability is a boulder. Let's get very specific. Okay, let's break that down. Profitability looks like what right now? Okay, well, profitability looks like we've got to get a certain amount of under contracts. We've got to have a certain amount of agents have under contracts.
Yep.
Okay, let's break that down even more. Okay, and so you kind of reverse engineer every one of those things. Let's say you're doing your kitchen remodel. Okay, the kitchen remodel is a big thing, dude. Yeah. All right, so give me the first thing you guys are going to be doing. Well, I gotta tear all that freaking tile out of there.
Sure.
Okay, awesome. So how long is that going to take? 2 hours.
Got it.
All right, what night are you going to do it? Wednesday night. Okay, awesome. Just put that down. You're going to tear all the tile out on a Wednesday night and tell me how that goes. Right? And so you do one thing and you're like, awesome. Guess what? You got the first step of the project done.
Dude, okay. You're a slave driver. You're just like Mandy.
No, but that's how you get unstuck.
I get it. Right? I get it. And that's it, because we can just look at the big picture and go, Oh my gosh. So that's great. And putting, again, I want to stress this. You're actually putting deadlines on it. You're putting time constraints on it, saying, hey, Wednesday night, you're tearing out tile, dude.
Right. And it's not too, I think it's a perspective too, right? Because you could easily say, hey, listen, if you're looking at the entire kitchen that you have to remodel and you go, well, what'd you do to this week? And you're like, dude, all I did was freaking take the tile out.
Yeah.
As opposed to, actually, we got the tile done, which is awesome because we had a deadline by Wednesday night at 9:00 and I got it done. Okay, awesome. No, well, so different perspective, right?
Yeah.
Same result, different perspective. One is like, okay, I still got 30,000 other things to do. And you're like, dude, I just knocked one item out of the 30,000 things. That's awesome. I'm making momentum. I'm not being stuck and just looking at my kitchen in the same way, right?
Yep.
So much of it is when you put these timelines down, when you break it into small pieces, right, you can get unstuck and you feel like you're creating momentum, which gives you energy to tackle even bigger projects. And it's really what happened for me the other day was when I got those, I'm telling you, when I got those 5 or 6 things done, or how many I said I got done, dude, I had a great day. Mm-hmm. I'm like, you know what? I feel energized and I was ready for the next day to tackle on more things. It motivated me to have even bigger conversations or tackle bigger projects because I'm like, yeah, I finally got all of those little things that were stacking up and they were weighing down on my shoulders done, and I don't have to worry about them now.
Good. So give me some tips on keeping that momentum going.
Well, it's constant review, right? It's constantly reviewing, hey, where are you at? What projects need to be done? What's the priority? Right? So as you're continuously doing that, you're also looking at, okay, well, what's the next step? What's the next thing that I could be doing? Right? Mm-hmm. You also have to enjoy life too, right? I mean, part of it is enjoying the moment. And I will tell you that I can say that easily, but I don't always do it because it's like project's done. Great. Stamp it. Let's go to the next one. Right? I've had to learn to do more and more of that enjoyment in that sense, right? But I do enjoyment in my life by taking time with Kate. Mm-hmm. Like that is enjoyment for me. Hey, listen, we just got done with 3 months of this, and this. Let's get away for the weekend, or hey, let's go have date night, or let's go do something together. Mm-hmm. And as much as I love my kids, I love my husband-wife time. I love my partner time with Kate, and so that's something that I look forward to and I want frequently in my life. Because it makes all the hard work worth it, to be honest with you. All these other things like, the financial rewards or the growth of the companies or the success of certain things like that, all of that is great. And it's a roller coaster ride, as you know. Yeah. But at the end of the day, what really gives me fulfillment is me and my relationship with Kate. And when we have time together, because that truly fills my cup.
Oh, that's great.
So
that's great. So one thing I know about you is you seem to enjoy other people's wins more than you enjoy your own wins and celebrating your own wins. Right. And that's great. From a leader, that's an awesome thing. But what I took from that right there is you have to celebrate those wins. Yeah. When you get them, because they sometimes come so rarely that we've got to celebrate them.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, right? And you have to find out how you celebrate. I guess is what we're really talking about, right? I celebrate with Kate. Other people celebrate, with themselves or somebody else. You have to enjoy the moments, right? I mean, they're so fleeting. You never know when the last one's going to happen. I mean, like it just there's so many things that are out of your control that if you're not learning to enjoy the moment, well, then what the heck are you doing stuff for, anyways? Then, right? Sometimes we can get so focused, and I will tell you from personal experience, for many, many years, I was so focused on this person that I wanted to become or this life that I thought that I wanted to have, that no matter what I did and no matter how successful I was never truly able to enjoy it. I mean, I had fun, don't get me wrong, but I didn't enjoy it. For sure. Right? And I think too many people are so focused on this perception of a person that they need to become that they can't enjoy the ride. And if you can if you can try to enjoy the ride, oh my gosh, it's so much better, right? Yeah. And it's a struggle that I still face. I mean, I still battle that constantly. So I'm not coming as an expert. I'm coming as a person that is on that ride trying to enjoy it as well. Sure.
Well, hey, I don't know about you, but I've got to go move some pebbles.
Yes. All right, my man. All right, you guys. Hey, listen, just to wrap this up here, honestly, stop trying to tackle the boulder. Start doing the little things. Start making momentum by creating momentum by taking and tackling the pebbles in your life, right? And enjoy the ride. Find out how you celebrate. Find out how you enjoy when you accomplish things, but stay focused on it, man. I'm telling you, when you can start chipping things away, when you can lower that stack of things that need to be accomplished, oh my gosh, the fulfillment, the excitement that you find in your life is just, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So, cool. All right, buddy. Always good to have you, dude.
Good to be here.
All right, brother.